So, Scott, the dysfunction with the Redskins, I mean, it is off the charts. And I'm wondering, does it seem as bad to you standing there in Washington as it does to us all the way across the country?
Yeah, the Redskins might have something to say about that at #1 pick, Bears. I think you guys talked about the issues in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday was kind of a perfect microcosm of how things have gone here for, well, really since Dan Snyder bought the team in 1999. On a day that, the team was looking ahead, Jay Gruden comes out and says that Kirk Cousins is going to be the starter not only for week 1, but for the 2015 season, barring injury. Most of the headlines by the end of the night are about RG3, whether or not he liked an Instagram post from a Redskins fan critical of Dan Snyder in the front office.
Number one, why can't RG3 find a better intern? And number two, who in D.C. is still in RG3's corner?
Number one, I mean, I might put my name in the hat there to see if he's obviously looking for a new intern. He mentioned interns, so it's an army of them. One of them probably let go after that.
It's always easy to blame the intern, Scott, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But in terms of who's in his camp, I mean, for years, really, since he's been here, Dan Snyder, #1 fan, and he certainly had a lot more fans than that after an incredible rookie year, leading the Redskins to a division title. But even through his struggles, I mean, we heard reports about the team wanting to part ways with Griffin and go another direction at quarterback, and the head coach, whether it be Mike Shanahan or then Jay Gruden, not really having that say because owner Daniel Snyder was so infatuated with Griffin.
Scott, we have an owner here in baseball named Dick Monfort.
Had to bring him up.
There's a comparison here. There's a lot of dysfunction with the Colorado Rockies baseball team, and it starts at the top. And there is a lot of criticism of Dick Monfort and the way the organization is run, but he has a tendency to figuratively stick his fingers in his ears, not want to hear it, and not make any changes. Just doesn't want to believe that he's the problem. Is that what Dan Snyder is? Does Dan Snyder hear the criticism, and when he hears it, how does he react?
Yeah, for much of his tenure, it was he hears it, but it's more the status quo. Nothing changes. I think, heading into this offseason, there was a lot of optimism, and there kind of always is around here for whatever reason. But finally, Dan Snyder went out and hired Scott McCloughan to be a real general manager, not a figurehead like Bruce Allen, who did the president/GM role, but a guy with a proven track record in San Francisco and Seattle of building winners. So there was all this optimism about that. And then this is not necessarily Dan Snyder's fault, but I think a lot of people would say that when Jay Gruden anointed RG3 the starter, or the #1 QB back in February, that sounded like something that probably came from up top. Now, for whether we'll see if it's true, with Gruden's announcement yesterday, the reports are that he will have the final say on RG3's future in Washington, not Dan Snyder. So maybe he is showing some willingness to change in that respect.
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. Our guest is Scott Allen of the Washington Post, and this portion of the big stuff is brought to you by Grand Prix Motorsports.
Scott, I can't blame an intern for this. I actually do like Kirk Cousins. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm not proud, but I'm not ashamed. And when he was playing, he seemed to get off to a pretty good start, and I was, all pumped up, like, I told you that guy was good. And then the wheels kind of fell off. Has he made a leap forward? Is he much better? That's the reports I'm hearing.
Is he protecting the ball better?
Yeah,
is the big question.
What should we expect out of Cousins? Will he hold on to the job or not?
The Redskins better hope so. I mean, Mark, it sounds like you may have been talking to your old buddy Mike Shanahan. Any chance?
We're tight, man.
because he has. I mean, he's long been a supporter of Cousins. He obviously drafted him the same year that they took Robert Griffin III. He came out yesterday after the news broke that Cousins was going to be the starter and said he's going to be a great quarterback. He's going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league. Maybe. And granted, Cousins really hasn't had a chance, long-term chance in D.C. to prove that. When he did get in last year after Griffin went down with the ankle injury. He threw a lot of interceptions, I think 4 in one game against the Giants. There are stats that are being tweeted and retweeted about how he has the fewest snaps per turnover among quarterbacks the last few years. So he's looked good this preseason. I mean, like any team, it's hard to draw a lot of conclusions from preseason. He threw an interception on his first series against the Ravens and then came back and looked great in the Redskins' last preseason game. So he's shown positives, but he's also shown that he throws a lot of interceptions. So.
Well, Scott, plenty for you to write about this fall, and have fun doing it, okay?
Appreciate it. Thanks for having
me. Twitter handle for you?
Scott S. Allen.
Scott S. Allen. And, of course, people can go to WashingtonPost.com and read you as well. Scott, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Scott Allen of the Washington Post, and that portion of the show brought to you by Grand Prix Motorsports, your source for the original motorcycles. That would be Indian motorcycles. So check out the newest line of Indian cycles at Grand Prix Motorsports on County Line and Santa Fe, and enjoy your ride the same way Scott here is enjoying his.